Hi guys, here is the second video I threatened. Basically, this is covering my trading strategy on my conviction stocks. Now, trading normally means that you sort of get in and out and take a quick buck. This isn't the case. It's the way I build up a holding in a particular stock, and even with those holdings that I've got probably too much of already, I still usually end up adding more through the strategy. Now, this has to be based on conviction stocks, i.e., stocks that you are convinced in your own mind, with sound fundamental reasons, that they will go up. So you don't mind if the strategy actually ends up with you having more. So I'll just dive straight in. I've got several stocks I'll cover to give you an example of, but I'll start with one I'm building at the moment. Now, this is Phoenix Copper. I won't talk about the stocks themselves because I do that on the other video. Now, with this one, I bought 4 tranches here in the mid 40s at £500 each. So that was me accumulating a stake. It then shot up, so I bought around £1,000 worth at 58. And then when it went up further, I bought some at 67.4 actually, but I dropped it down because higher prices, buying smaller amounts, and then it dropped further, so I bought another smaller amount, so £300 in both those two cases. So now at the moment I have very nearly 7,000 of the stock, which is at the current price it's about 4,600, so it's showing a £600 profit already on that. Now I expect this to go way higher, so I want to build my stock higher. Down here we've got the target selling price, and I've got that set at £2, so that's a ridiculously high price. You won't see that on any of the other slides, but I have no intention of selling. That said, if it gets stuck in a trading range before it gets to £2, like it could happen in the 60s, for example. So if it mulls around in the 60s for a month or two, going from 69 to 61, then I may well start to trade it in that, and you'll see examples of that elsewhere. But the current intent is to build up. So if it goes down to 60, which I don't expect it to, but if it does, I'll buy at least £300 worth. I may even add on to it. And also if it goes up, I will add. So basically I bought some in the 40s, bought some in the 50s, bought some in the 60s, and I'll continue to buy some in the 70s and the 80s and as it goes up. Now I'm pushing my average up slightly as it goes by, because you'll see after this buying here I had an average of 50 and it's now up to just over 52.5. So this is the current wonder stock that I've got at the moment. Very similar to that is National World. So building a holding in this one, I've got quite a holding in Reach, which you'll see in a minute as well. So I don't want too high a holding in here. But it was strongly tipped by Richard Leonard, who I respect greatly. So I bought essentially 4 tranches of £500, which got me to the current level of just under 6,000. And again, I will top up if it drops. I probably won't add the same way as Phoenix Copper because I haven't got the same conviction in this yet, but if it starts taking off like Reach has done and it's in exactly the same field, then I may well change my mind on that. Again, Richard Leonard put a target of 70 to 80p on this, so I may well slice at 70, so that's the intent. Now if I did slice at 70, you'll see what will kick in next is that I would buy back that slice. Actually, I need to change that number, make it higher. If it dropped 10% from that, and then we'll continue to add. So I'm not bothered about having more, but with this, it's not the intention to have more unless it really starts to take off. So that's National World. Let's have a look. I did mention Reach earlier. This is one of my favorites. So this is a bit further down the scale, and this is an example where selling has not been worthwhile because I would have made much more had I not sold in this instance, but crystal balls and all that. So built the stake, put in just £300 to start with. Again, I listened to Richard Leonard and I wish I'd listened harder. So I just put it toe in the water, £300 at £1. Then went up to 118, so I doubled that, which pushed my average up to 109. Getting more and more conviction as it grew, added some more at 136, and then I added a good deal at 203. So I actually put 1,000 in there, more or less doubling my stake. So I ended up with 1,500 of them, not a huge amount. So I set my target sell, bear in mind my average is 148, I set my target sell of 266 and up it came. So I sold 200 at that point, which made me a profit. This is the profit on this side of 236. I then set my next target of 311, which was also reached. So I sold around £500 worth then, which gave me another 268 in profit. Quick note for myself here, it goes ex-div on the 12th of August. So with the holding I've currently got, 1,135, that'll give me a £31 dividend. I will buy back if it goes to 280, but currently, of course, it doesn't look likely because the price is now 380, 385 in fact. So my target to top slice again was 373 because I had it in there. I had it originally at a 20% increase on the price of the last top slice, but I like the stock so much that I upped it to 25%, which will be now 389. Now it's already 385, so will I sell at 389? Could happen on Monday. I'll be tempted not to, because I'll also be missing out on a little bit of the dividend. Dividend's not a big determinant, to be honest, because it's only a couple of percent, but it's still there for the time being. If I did sell at 389, I'd be looking to buy back at 350, maybe even 360, because there's a note out from Panmure that this is going to £7 in the next year or so, in their view. So anyway, we'll see. So that's Reach. Let's go on to another similar one, Tech. So these are still in the building phase. So Tech Capital I had held for quite some time and had 24,000 before I started doing the sort of strategy spreadsheets, and I added 3,000 at 15, another 3,000 at 17, another 3,000 at 15.5, and then there was a hugely discounted capital raise at 10p, and the price plummeted to 11, at which point I bought 5,000. Best move I ever made. Wish I'd bought shed loads more. I then thought, right, well, it started rising up, so it had gone from 10 essentially up to 15, so I should top slice. So I took out £500 worth. I actually lost £13 on that deal because my average was slightly higher than 15.2 to 15.5, but I was basing that on the purchase I'd made at 11p. So it made a profit on that basis, but not on the overall basis. I then kind of regretted my decision, and when it dropped down a little bit, I bought back the 3,500 at 14.9. And again, on that point, I actually lost 3 pence. So I essentially bought back for where I sold it from, which was justified because the price carried on up, and I then resold that at 16.8 and actually made a modest £44 then. It then started to move quite recently, so that's about a week ago, went up to 20p, at which point I just sold 2,500. So I'm selling around £500 chunks, which got me £108 in profit, and I will buy back, or would buy back, if it got down to 18p again. Don't actually expect it to, because there's another one I think I've got conviction on that's going to grow. I would like to grow the account, so when it hits a trading range like it was in here, you'll notice I have built up from 24 to 32, even though I've gone from 38 in the midst at the height of it down to 32. So this trading strategy has increased my holding by about 40%, if you look at it on that basis. So when it hits the next trading range, I'll be doing the same. The target would be to sell or slice again when it hits 25, and then buy back if it happened to go to 22, and so on. So I just build those through as we go in. Now, let me look at another one, which is Argo Blockchain. Now, this has got lots of activity on it. I won't go through them all, but sort of building the stake here at the 113.75p it dropped, and 126, so I had an average of 105. I then sold for double at £500 worth, so I sold for 235 when my average was 105. It then went up to 311. I sold another 500 quid's worth, so I virtually trebled, almost trebled the returns on it. And then of course it started to drop back, so I bought at 257, bought at 205, and then it went back up again. So essentially I sold the 205 back at 242, having increased my holding since the last drop. Then it went down to 220 and down to 175, and again the same thing happened. I then sold that slice here at 203 for 82. You can see the profits here on those side anyway. Again, same thing happened again, dropped to 165 and 142, but then the 142 I sold back at 155 for 50 quid's worth of profit. Next, it did the same again, dropped to 133 and 115, and then I had three sales. So I sold this one at 132, this one at 146, and this one at 165, making probably 200 quid between the three of them. Exact same thing happened again, rinse and repeat, as they say. Dropped to 148, bought, 139, bought, 122, bought. Got rid of the last 122 at 160, nice 170 quid profit. Then the same happened, 140, 122 buys. Got rid of the last one at 140 for 74 quid profit. Again, it then dropped 124, 113, and actually went below a pound. Got rid of the pound one at 108, got rid of the 113 one at 130 for combined £120 or so. And here we are now. It's currently at 134. My next slice is supposed to be around the 155 area. That would give me £125 profit if I waited for that. I may, if it got to 150, I may take it out, and if it drops, I'll buy at 117. The same process going the way through. So I'm actually, what did I start with? So up here, basically, I had 1400. I've done all that trading, and I've currently got 2250. So, as I said, I'm adding to my holdings, but making money on the way. Now, my overall portfolio is losing 11.5%. If I hadn't been doing this top slicing and bottom adding, I would have doubled that loss. So I would be 23, 24%. So I'm actually making 11.5 from this trading and losing 11.5 from the current holdings. Now, I don't expect that to last because I expect them to come back. But before I run out of too much time, let me go and look at some of the bigger holdings. Now, NC Novacyt. Now, there's so much trading in here, so I'll just show you the beginning. So I started off with 1600. I sold at 720, sold at 790, sold at 865, so made considerable profit on the way up. I actually felt bad about that because I thought, oh, this is going to go up forever, and I'm just sort of selling as it goes along. I should hold. Then it dropped. So I bought Tranks at 830, 759, 705, 717, 668. It then popped back up again, so I unloaded the last two, well, actually four of them. Actually, I got rid of them at that point, so made a nice little profit there. Dropped back down to 8, sold at 9, dropped back down to 8, bought 3 in the 8s, went up to 9, bought another one in the 8 when it dropped back, sold at 9, 10 and 10, but didn't sell enough. That was my problem. Bought then at 10.50 and then sold at 11, and then bought all these as it went down, 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 down. So my learning here is sell more when it gets at an all-time high, and then you can finance these buybacks in that situation. So compare this to, let's say, Reach, which has hit its all-time high, and I am selling a few. Okay, so that's a lesson to myself. I talked myself into it. I probably should do the top slice on Reach, and then of course it went down further. So I managed to sell the last 750 here at 8, but then it's gone down all the way down, and I bought all these tranches all the way down to 375. Then it perked up, so I sold the last 3 for profits, 418, 483, 552. Note to self, probably should have sold double because of all these I bought in here. Then the same thing happened again. It went back from the 552 and bought in at all these sort of tranches. Managed to get a sale on this last one. All the while I'm accumulating. Then the same thing happens again all the way down to 321, which so far has been my lowest purchase. Then managed to sell a couple at 352 and 381 for profits. You can see all the profits down the right hand side. Then the same thing happens again. It's rinse and repeat. So I've now increased the amount I buy each time into from the 150 to the 175. It's in around the 600 region, and I now have 7,225. So I've substantially increased my holding here, which I'm entirely comfortable with because I believe it is well undervalued. You will see the same thing happening. Let's running out of time really, so let's just go to DVRG, Deep Verge. Now, again, I had 22,000 when I started doing this strategy. I had bought up in like the £7 in its old Modern Water days when it moved across. So my average was around 35 in that, and I was buying loads here. So I was buying lots in the 20s, and then I think some news came out then, and it shot up to 39. So I sold a tranche again. Should have sold more, but at least I sold 700 or 800 pounds worth for 160 quid profit. Dropped again straight away, bought three more, 35, 33, 30, and then same thing happened again. It went up to 35, so I sold 600 quid's worth. Likewise, drops 3 times back again, and then peaked up again to 35. Doesn't stay in the 35s and 39s much, so I sold 700. So I did quite well then. And then look at all these buys. This is a total conviction for me because I believe in it. So they're all in the low 30s, and then it started to go into the 29s. So I bought in these 29s. The last buy was 2775, and next I will be buying, if it drops 5% on that price, I'll buy some at 26 or thereabouts. If it gets into the 26s, I will add, because I'm totally convinced on this one. And my sell basis will be 31p or 31.2, which is a 12.5% increase on that last purchase. So if I ended up buying 26, I would change this to be 12.5% on whatever the purchase price is here. Now that would only get me sort of like 70 quid, but that doesn't matter because this is trading in a range. Once it gets out of the range, then you alter the strategy. But if I sold at 31, I would then buy back at under 30, probably just under 30. That's 5%. Okay, now let's probably look at one more. And this has been a positive for the sales, but again, like Reach, I would have been better off not selling and holding the full amount that I've kept, because I used to have 2,000 of them, and that was at 872. When I first did my average price, it was at 750, and I was selling here at 8. Selling at 9, 9 and 10.70. I then bought back at 10.19 and 10 at 9.50. Sold at 10.31, and here I was selling big chunks because I had too much of it, really, I thought, in that case. And then I bought back half of it at 9.78. So that's determined my average price was then 7.45. Your average price adjusts when you buy stock. It doesn't adjust when you sell. So then I sold the next two at, having bought at 10.9, I sold at 10.12 and at 10.35, bought back at some at 9.59, and then did 4 sales, 10, 10.30, 10.50, and 11. Then bought back the last one at 10.47, and then sold all the way up, 11, 21, 54, 90, 12.67, 13.17 and 13.70. So I made good profits. I haven't bothered putting the profits in here because I've made over 6,600 in the dealings from this. And the very last deal was a purchase. So last sell was at 13.70, and then I bought back that same sell at 12. 12.89. If it drops further, if it goes down by 10%, I'll buy at 11.60, and the target would be to sell that last purchase at 14.18, and then thereafter 14.93, 15.68. So I will be reducing my holding, but I'll be staying around the 6,000 mark because I still believe in this stock going forward, and not sure, you probably haven't got an appetite for any more because I've been rabbiting too long, so I'll call it quits there, and maybe in future I might just pick on 1 or 2 and do that. So anyway, I hope that was interesting or useful, and if you like it I will elaborate. If not, I won't bother with it again. Okay, cheers guys, bye.